code we'll use should be gun prom.
Or
All
you
right,
just
ladies and
prom.
gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, kids from 1 to 92. If you're 93, you're out of luck. It is Charlie from Writing Shotgun with Charlie and Matt from Meet the Pressers. And soon we will have Michael Schwartz from Gun Owners Radio. He's adjusting some lights, and oh my gosh, he looks excelente.
Hey, I know that guy.
There we go.
I know, right?
Yeah,
You missed your eyebrows. There you go.
How's it going, guys?
Relax.
It is great. It's good to see you, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Schwartz from San Diego County Gun Owners, from Gun Owners Radio. He is here with Meet the Pressers and with Writing Shotgun with Charlie.
Nice to be here, guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, we're glad you're here, man. We are very glad you're here. Before we kick things off, we do want to mention that tonight's show is brought to you by Next Level. I had to think for a second. It is brought to you by Next Level Training. Next Level Training makes the SIRT pistols, and I believe we will be giving a SIRT pistol away tonight. You should also check out. You should also check out Mantis, who is also a wonderful sponsor of ours as well. They have the Mantis X10, I think is what we were giving away, but we are out of those. So tonight we are giving away a $250 SIRT training pistol. These are great to use because you can turn your house into a shooting range. You can work on your sight alignment trigger squeeze with a laser that comes out to the wall, and they have different settings, and they are very, very handy training tools for when you are at home. So
yes, they are.
Let's kick things off. We got a lot of people chiming in. Michael, tell us a little bit about you, so we can learn about you before we as we get into things here.
Sure. So I am the executive director for San Diego County Gun Owners PAC. PAC stands for Political Action Committee. We're a political organization. We focus just on Second Amendment issues and just on the county level. So there's a lot of great state and federal Second Amendment organizations. We don't get in their way. We don't duplicate their work. We make sure that people who are running for city council, mayor, school board, sheriff are pro Second Amendment. Strategy being that that's who we look at when someone's going to run for Congress or state office, something like that. They're usually a city council member, a mayor, or something. Usually they've started their career off somewhere on the local level. So we're going after the bench. We want to make sure that all those folks are pro Second Amendment. We're nonpartisan. We don't care if they're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, decline to state. We don't care. And we're single issue. We don't care where they stand on any other issue. As long as they're pro Second Amendment, they're a viable candidate, they have strong character, they've shown that they've been effective, then they're going to get our support, and we provide the resources that they need to get get elected. San Diego County has 3.5 million people in it.
Wow.
That makes us bigger than about 19 other states. So there's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. We've been around for 6 years. We have over 3,200 members. And we've done a lot of really great work. I'm very, very proud. And our work's led to the formation of Orange County Gun Owners, which is the county just north of us. They have about 3 million people in that county. And then Inland Empire, which is San Bernardino County and Inland Empire, is San Bernardino County and Riverside County. That's about another 4 million people right there as well. So we're very, very proud of the work we've done.
That's awesome. You made me think. I just looked up our population in my county. It's 461,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like drastically different.
Quite a bit. How does somebody start a group? Do you have to? I assume since you're a nonprofit, you've got to have a board and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, a PAC is relatively easy. A political action committee is relatively easy to start. There's some paperwork you have to file, and then we found the very best CPA we could find who is experienced in campaign finance type work, because there aren't a lot of laws around campaign finance and what you can and can't do, but the laws are the punishment is severe for running afoul, and whether or not you knew there was a law or whatever. And we're dealing with, there are federal laws, state laws, county laws, city laws. There's a lot of layers. So so we wanted to make sure we couldn't afford a room full of attorneys to help. So we wanted to make sure we had a lot of experience. But it's a very serious thing. They take these things very, very seriously. From there, we put together a mission statement, found some leadership, and then just started saying, hey, this is what we want to do. And we started taking members who donate a membership. A basic membership's $100 a year or $10 a month, whichever is more convenient for them. And we have it set up to where it's all easy over the internet and automated. And then we just started doing the thing that we were supposed to do as a political organization, and that's vetting candidates and helping them get elected.
Very cool. Very cool. When how long have you been a gun guy? When did you, because I know it seems to be different. It seems to be different from when you start from being a gun folk to when you get involved with on some sort of level on activism, whether it's writing or blogging or making videos or starting your own thing.
Well, I was born in 1976, and I think about 5 minutes after that, I became a gun guy. I mean, I was
must have been very, very uncomfortable for your mother.
Came out of guns ablazing.
That's right. I was one of those kids running around the woods where every stick was a gun, every pine cone was a grenade. And then I think, BB guns, and I was always fascinated with guns. I just thought it was really interesting. And I came from a family that were really big into history. And so that, history is always, revolving around different wars and that sort of thing. We would go on vacation to Civil War battlefields. And then in the 80s, the movie Red Dawn came out, and it was all over, right? That was it. That's the bug that bit me hard, and I've been a gun guy ever since. It wasn't long after my 21st birthday, I went out and bought my first gun. I bought within a couple months, I owned a Glock 19, a Mossberg 500, and an AR. And I just couldn't wait to get to 21. And then I just kind of had them. I didn't
wait. 21 guns?
No.
Oh, age 21.
21 years old. Couldn't wait to get to 21 years old, so I could really what I wanted was a Glock. I wanted a Glock 19. Bad. When I was a kid, I met some guy who was in the Navy, and he claimed to have gone through SEAL training or whatever. I don't know. He's probably making it all up, but he had a Glock 19, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So when I was 21 years old, went and bought a Glock 19. That didn't quite scratch the itch. I couldn't afford an AR, so I bought the Mossberg 500. That didn't quite scratch the itch, so I went back and bought the AR. And I didn't really do a lot of training. I was in my 20s. I didn't do a lot of training, didn't do a lot of research. Just kind of had them, kind of liked them. Kind of went to the range every now and then. Kind of went to a gun show. And then I got 31 years old. I got married, and my wife and I and another couple went camping and shooting in the desert out in Southern California here, and got harassed by a Bureau of Land Management law enforcement guy. He tried to arrest me for that shotgun that I bought because it had a pistol grip and it didn't have a stock, which is exactly that's how I bought it. It's totally legal. Right. And he said it was a violation of state law, and I politely showed him he was wrong, and the whole situation was a bit of an epiphany. It was really truly eye-opening, and I thought, man, something's got to change. So I got involved in politics, and I got involved in different campaigns, and made a lot of mistakes, and did a lot of things right, and eventually in 2015 sat down with some other folks and said, here's what I think we should do, and we started San Diego County Gun Owners.
Very cool. California's a lot like New York in that sense, where there are pockets of pro-gun people in New York State. It's just there's big cities that are very anti-gun typically. I'm assuming it's a lot the same there in your state too.
It is, and I think one of our big accomplishments is that we've created people that are interested in firearms. by, it wasn't a part of their culture. They didn't grow up around guns. But everybody understands, being safe and self-defense. And once that message is clear to them, firearms becomes the most obvious solution. And, we find that one of our big accomplishments is that before San Diego County gun owners, you could not get a carry permit. You couldn't get a concealed carry permit in San Diego because the sheriff wouldn't allow it. And we actually put a ton of political pressure on the sheriff and got him to change his mind. And this was a sheriff who was sued by the NRA for 8 years in court, federal court, and he actually won. And
that didn't change his mind that the NRA was after him?
That didn't change his mind. He won. The court said, hey, you know what, Sheriff, you don't have to issue. And we put a ton of political pressure on him, just doing what we do, building, and basically being honest and making the case and going into the media. Now, this is actually a really important point, one I talk about a lot. What we didn't do is we didn't protest, we didn't march or rally. We didn't name call, we didn't threaten him. We didn't do any of that stuff because that stuff, you just get labeled, a lunatic and nobody listens to you. We didn't do any of that. We went and we had, rather than rallies, we had press conferences and we invited the media, we had press releases. We went into the media, radio and print and TV and said, hey, you know what? We have a really strong case to make. Here it is. We cared about our messaging. We also went to supporters of the sheriff and said, hey, you donate to him, you endorse him, whatever, here's why you shouldn't, and got people to withhold their endorsement, including the Republican Party. So, so that's the kind of stuff that's effective. The way you behave, the way you work within the system, that can make or break your efforts. So we're very, very proud of the way we did things.
I try to get down to Albany and meet with the politicians in New York every so often. I did it a couple years before COVID. And I tell you, they wouldn't let me in if I was acting crazy or if I was telling them, if I was screaming and yelling. I had to be cool, calm, and collected. And when I went in and talked to them, no matter how bad I wanted to wring their neck and bounce their head off the wall so they get it, couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's important.
I was at the NRA meetings in Houston this past weekend, and the first day, like Friday, there were quite a few protesters screaming and shouting, and there was one lady that was particularly funny to me. She may have been flipping us the bird, and I took it personally, but it wasn't close enough with her arm all the way extended out and her finger out. She had to lean over the car to get an extra 7 or 8 inches so I could see her finger a little bit better.
And that changed your mind, right? Now you agree with it.
Yeah, right.
That's all it took. And now you go, I see your point.
Oh, exactly. The language that these people used, the things that they called the pro-gun folks, is I hate saying very offensive because it takes a lot to offend me, but it's not stuff that you would probably say around your parents unless you're an adult. Certainly not things that you could say in, I don't know, church or in front of kids or anything like this. And it was a little crazy. And of course, you look at the people that are doing this, that are doing all these protesting and chanting. And there was a guy out there with a quad drums, like it was a marching band. Right? It was a little nuts. And they did this all day long. And then they came back and they did it more on Saturday as well.
And none of that works.
Yeah, none of it.
Leave all that to the other side. Do the stuff that's effective. In politics, you have 2 tools. You have money and you have people. So if you're not raising more money or more people, you're not doing something that's effective. I can't tell you how important that is. Get a bunch of money and a bunch of people together and get involved within the system, in the process. Stay off the sidewalks, stay out of the parks, don't do marches. None of that works.
Yeah, I don't know how people can do that. Put all that time into marching around. I'm like, I got a job to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't take a day off work.
I don't have time to do the things that I'd like to do, let alone go
So
protest.
true.
Yeah. So how did
go
go ahead?
No, I was just going to say I drove 2 hours last night to teach a class, taught a 4-hour class. On my way home, my wife calls me and says, "Hey, there's a swarm of bees in the playground." So I got home last night and started getting stuff ready. And this morning, at the crack of dawn, I got out there and I pulled a whole medicine ball size of bees out of a tree.
Wow.
When I'm done with this, I got to go out and put them in the bee field, the apiary.
So you need to do what Neil Widener's doing and just start harvesting them and making your own honey, man.
Flow hives.
Can you get them to? Can you convince the bees to start producing some honey for you?
Oh,
we missed it.
Yeah.
They do. They produce a lot. Did I cut out on you?
You did.
That's freaking internet.
They're not African bees, are they? I've heard that.
No.
For 20, 30 years now, they keep telling me that we're going to have Africanized bees, and they never seem to make it.
Yeah. We've all watched Bowling for Columbine, right?
Yeah.
So you were San Diego County Gun Owners was doing so well that somebody in Orange County decided to do the same thing?
They actually reached out to us and said, "Hey, we want what you guys have." And it was always part of the plan to, San Diego is just one piece of the state. It's an enormous state. So it was always part of the plan to go to different counties. Not every county. There are 58 counties in California. We never wanted to be in all 58. But just strategic areas where we felt like there was a chance to make a difference. So some folks up in Orange County reached out and said, "Hey, we want what you have." So we kind of designed a franchise. It's the same mission statement. It's the same branding. We help them with kind of, the back office stuff, and they have local leadership there and local activities, and they decide, how to raise the money, and then they decide who they're going to endorse. And it's working out really, really well. And then the same in Inland Empire, which is Riverside County and San Bernardino County combined, as they refer to that as the Inland Empire. So that's, and then hopefully next year we're going to start LA County Gun Owners, which should be a hoot.
Very cool. We're going to talk about Gun Prom, but I know G Webbs is here, and G Webbs has his own show that he's doing tonight. He wants to know the origin of Gun Prom.
So when I was involved in all these, and so basically what I did when we designed San Diego County Gun Owners, I looked at all the movers and shakers, all the important organizations across the county, and I started, what do they have in common? What do they do that's effective? And one of the things they do is they have an annual gala that celebrates whatever it is that they do. It's a, kind of part fundraiser and part friend raiser, but it's a showpiece that says, "Hey, here we are, and let's have fun and celebrate whatever it is we're doing." So I decided, okay, we're going to have our Second Amendment celebration dinner. First year, we did it on an aircraft carrier. We did it on the Midway, which is a museum here in San Diego. And I forget how many people we have, maybe 300 people. And it was a bunch of activists. We all knew each other from the range and from city council meetings and that sort of thing. And we all got dressed up, and I'm looking around, and we had, you could win a gun. There were a bunch of guns there. Gun shops donated guns for people to win. And I looked around and I was like, man, this looks like prom with guns. And I thought, hey, it's Gun Prom. So it got nicknamed
Nice.
Gun Prom. And I thought that was funny. So I actually went and bought gunprom.com. And that's where you can find all the information for our various dinners. We have one in San Diego every year. And then we've had two in Orange County. We just had one in Orange County a couple months ago. But if you go to gunprom.com, you can get all the information about our different gun proms.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Real quick here. Apparently, I have a sister that's a beekeeper. I had no clue.
Really?
I guess I have one sister that's a little earthy, nutty, crunchy. Yeah.
What are you trying to say about me?
She's like a homeschool, cloth diaper kind of a person.
Cloth diaper.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm coming out to Gun Prom on June 18th, and I'm coming out with John Petrolino and the whole Petrolino crew, and we're making a working vacation of it. He's doing more vacating, and I'm trying to do more working. And I've been telling people that I'm coming to this, and they're like, "Gun Prom? What is this? This is what are you gonna date your gun or something?" And I'm like, you know what? You're just a knucklehead. It's a fundraiser for people to dress up and get together and have a good time. And like you said, oh my God, what did you call it? Friend
Friend-raiser.
A friend raiser. Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Well,
So
you can bring a shotgun, put a little corsage on your shotgun. That could be your date.
I love it. Well,
Wow.
I emceed the Concealed Carry Fashion Show that Realize FAC put on this weekend, and I'm probably going to wear the same attire. I don't know if I should tell you this. I don't know if it's going to ruin anything, but I have a white tie that has an AR on it, and that is what I'm going to be wearing.
Go big. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's a good time. I got to tell you, if you look across the room, one thing I'm really particularly proud of. Last year, we had 1,000 people at our dinner. I don't think we're going to quite hit that number this time.
999.
That's right.
I remember.
Because California, it was right in the middle of COVID, and California said that you couldn't have a gathering of over 1,000. I don't know. It was ridiculous. So we had 999 people. And if you look across the room, I'm really proud of the fact that it's men and women. It's not just a bunch of guys, all ages, all economic background. I mean, there's diversity of every kind in the room. And we all come together. There's Republicans and Democrats and libertarians and declined estates. There's, every member of society, every group of society is represented, and we all come together for the one thing that we agree on, which is the Second Amendment. I'm really, really happy and proud about that.
That's wonderful here. So Gun website says that gun prom seems like such a great idea for gun owners to get together off the range or at a gun show or a gun shop and have some fun. It's also perfect for IG and selfies and TikTok and great optics. This absolutely. I think it's a brilliant idea. Some of the other people I've told about this, they're like, gun prom. That's interesting. Maybe we should do something like that. And I'm like, man, you absolutely should.
I just thought your date was interesting.
My date?
John Petrolino?
Yeah. Exactly. I'm like, wait, you're going to gun prom with John? What's going on here?
It's well, let's not be ridiculous, okay? There's nothing I can say to make it sound good.
I can't wait to see the picture of the two of them holding each other. One of them
I just want to know. I just want to know who over the threshold.
I can tell you the girth of both of us, neither one. That threshold is going to be sweating when we cross it. Let's tell you that now.
Yeah, like Trampa says, we don't judge, we educate.
The deal is this: if I say that John is a married man, it doesn't sound good. If I say I'm undateable, which is the truth, I'm completely undateable. That doesn't really sound good either. So,
I just.
I know. Trampus tuned in here. Says, Charlie, you did look fantastic. I did fantastic at the fashion show, and I looked sharp. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. The fashion show I did with Amanda Suffolcool this past weekend at the NRA annual meetings. It was put on by Realize Firearm Awareness Coalition, which is Amanda's nonprofit group. And we had an awesome time. There weren't as many people as we were hoping for, but I think a good time was had by all. There were a lot of products there. We had a lot of models in both genders. And everybody was, everyone had a great time. Everyone was safe. We obviously used blue guns for all the holsters. And there is a video of it on YouTube that the Polite Society put on. And I heard the video is not, the audio is not great, but the video is really good. So we're going to see what we can do to fix that. But it was great. It was a lot of fun. And what was pretty cool is I did get a chance to meet Gary Gizzard at the NRA meetings as well. And Mark Lindblom is here. It's great publicity. It is great publicity. So someone in the UK did a story on the Concealed Carry Fashion Show, and then someone in India picked up the story from the UK, and they really tore up the language in their reporting. They're like, oh, they're shooting their underwear, and there's women lifting their shirts and exposing themselves and their holsters, and it's not quite how it was, but
well, it's what you get when you come from a country that allows you to run around with knives and not guns, right?
right. So anyway, What else? You have when did Gun Owners Radio become a thing? I assume Gun
So
Owners Radio kind of came out of the PAC.
it did. I gathered the board. The first board was I think it was 28 people on the board, and that was part of the design. We like a nice big board. We don't, you get any given time. Volunteers are dealing with life. So maybe you get a third of your board that can do something. During the month. So if you have a nice big board, you have a lot of people working on, the organization. Anyway, one of the board members, about a year, maybe 2 years in, we had breakfast with a guy named Dave Stahl, who's a longtime radio guy, who's actually a car guy. He talks about cars, and he's kind of the local car expert. And he said, "Hey, I want to carve out some of my show and have it be a gun show." Well, I'd never been on the radio before. I didn't know what I was doing, but I thought, heck, why not? Let's do it. And it took a couple of years to kind of get into the swing of things. But now we have a 2-hour show on 1170 AM in San Diego. We also, podcast.
It's on The Answer.
The Answer. That's right. 1170 AM. The Answer. So, we have it's on any podcast provider, and it's on YouTube, and it's pretty cool. I use it to meet cool people like Charlie. We interviewed Charlie, and that was fantastic. That was great. But I also use it we interview politicians live on the air. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that? And now I got them on record. Yeah, now I got them on record.
Catch them hemming and hawing, right?
Just recently, I got to tell you, in January, the Republicans they were getting ready to, and finally did, endorse a guy who's running for sheriff. And I got him on the radio show and started talking to him, and realized he's an absolute disaster when it comes to the Second Amendment. He was working for the city attorney's office, and he was a big part of spreading gun violence restraining orders, or red flag laws, here in California. And he tried to tell us live on the air that, hey, red flag laws are really good for gun owners. And just nailed him to the wall on this radio interview. And that lives forever. You can take that clip and send it out and say, hey, this is who this guy really is. Yeah. And it's not me telling people or giving my opinion. It's me saying, listen to his words. And we just absolutely destroyed this guy. And the Republicans still endorsed him. And he's running for sheriff in San Diego. And he's an absolute disaster. But that's how we use the radio show. It's fun. One fun segment is I found out he was like 19 at the time. He's 22 now. But my nephew just happens to be really, really good at gun trivia. So we started a segment called Stump My Nephew. And people send in questions about guns. And man, he's hard to stump. He hardly ever gets it wrong. He's pretty amazing. So we try to have fun, and we also make it useful.
Do you have a contest? If you get something wrong, then the person that stumped him gets something?
Yeah, if you send in a question, we'll send you a shirt or a hat, a San Diego County Gun Owners shirt or hat, or a Gun Owners Radio shirt or hat. And if you stump him, we'll give you some kind of special prize. I think right now the prize is a couple of tickets to Gun Prom. In the past, we've given away memberships to gun ranges, that sort of thing. But honestly, he's been doing this for 3 or 4 years. I think he's been stumped, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times in that amount of time. It's amazing.
Yeah,
kid's awesome.
He is. Gun Website also wants to know about Action Jackson. How come Action Jackson? And I forget his dog's name, but he's not here with you, huh? Chase. That's it.
Yeah, Action Jackson's my little buddy. I like that guy.
He's going to be at Gun Prom, right?
He is. He's going to be at Gun Prom. Chase will be at Gun Prom.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's a great kid. He's just turned 9, and every week he goes to the range and he works with a coach, and he has a 9mm Glock, and that's his outlet. He focuses on that, and he brings Chase, and Chase gets little ear protection, and he's a cool kid. I just love that little kid. He's so great. He's my little co-host, and during the commercial breaks, he and I play with Legos, and it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Is
is Legos code for an AR that you're putting together?
Ooh.
I went to his house. His parents had me over for dinner, and he's got a whole section of his house. He's got about 50 million Legos, and he calls it his Lego lab. He takes it very seriously.
That's
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Are they 80% Legos?
Exactly.
You have to drill up the bottom.
It's an erect set for guns.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the radio. Gosh, when was it? I think it was over the winter when you had on. This might have been the candidate you were talking about. You just completely slammed him, and I think you kicked him off the air, didn't you?
No, I didn't have to kick him off the air. We just finished out the segment talking about how nobody should support this guy, and he had a couple of choice words that we had to delete. No, we didn't have to kick him off.
Lively.
Yeah, we just destroyed him for a segment, and then that was that.
I got a local sheriff that I sat down and had breakfast with, and we were talking, and he said assault rifle. And I go, whoa, what does AR stand for? He goes, assault rifle. I was like, no. And I had to educate him right there in the meeting there in the breakfast. I was like, he didn't even, 22-year veteran in the sheriff's department, didn't even know.
Jeez.
Oof. I always give people the choice of what does AR stand for, and I bat away assault rifle and an automatic rifle. I tell them it's also not an American rifle or an anxiety reducer. I also tell them it's not an a-hole remover. And the one that I came up with in 2020 was anti-riot. Because when there's a riot and you bring one of these evil black rifles out, the riot kind of dissipates. And then, of course, I tell them it stands for Armalite. So
that was my first AR. It was an Armalite before they banned Armalite in California.
Yeah, so you have a lot of. Look, we're all in occupied territory. And by the way, I heard people talk about. Oh my gosh, I think it was Free America. And I started using Free America for not our states. And then I watched, of course, Red Dawn. And they started to talk about Free America, and they talked about occupied territory. And I'm like, ooh, I'm in occupied territory.
So I had this buddy, my shooting buddy, used to go to Arizona a lot. And every time he crossed the California-Arizona border, he'd call me and he'd say, I'm in Free America. And then he'd start saying stuff like, John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache, which is another Red Dawn reference. So yeah, Arizona, Nevada, that's all Free America.
I went to about 12 years ago, I think it was 12, 13 years ago. I had to go to Houston because someone stole my identity and racked up about $50,000 in credit card debt. And honestly, at the time, at that time of my life, if someone wanted to steal my identity, I was willing to let them have it. But I had to go down to Houston, like the government, whoever it was, this guy did this to a number of people, and I ended up having to go to Texas to testify that I did not rack up this $50,000 in credit card debt. And I was not hip to how a lot of things worked, so I ended up flying down to Houston, and they picked us up at the airport, and then drove us to, I guess it was the attorney's office, and they started asking us a bunch of questions because, of course, we all know that you don't ask in court. You don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. So I answer all the questions, and we get to court the next day or 2 days later, whatever it was. And they start asking me, they said, what's your name? I said, I'm Charlie Cook. And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a music teacher. And they're like, do you do anything else? I said, I'm a gun instructor. And the guy said to me, Mr. Cook, what do you think of the gun laws we have here in Texas? And I told him this: I could smell the freedom when I stepped off the airplane.
Nice.
And the judge laughed, the defendant laughed, the jury laughed. Like everyone thought it was great.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So you guys have a lot of crazy stuff out there in California.
We do.
You can't if you go to a shooting range, you can't bring ammo home.
Kind of. They basically you have to go through a background check to purchase ammo. And if you purchase ammo at a range, you can use it at the range, but then you can't take it home unless you go through a background check. So there's no waiting period, but basically you have to go through the same steps to buy ammo as
a 4473.
Essentially, I mean, it's not the exact same, but essentially, yeah, it's an instant background check. It costs like $1 or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of a pain. And if you're in the system and everything's fine, it's not that big a hindrance.
Mhm.
But if anything goes wrong, that doesn't mean I support it. It's still, a pain.
Right.
But if anything goes wrong, like if you move and your address isn't on file or whatever, if anything goes wrong, you can't buy ammo. I've gotten calls from police officers. That was actually a big problem at first because police officers don't like to publish their address. So
Right.
it didn't quite match up, and now these cops can't buy ammo. And folks in the military, they're stationed out here, and they have trouble buying ammo. And again, if your I is crossed and not dotted, you're going to have trouble buying ammo. And there's no mechanism that's all that clear and easy to fix it. But yeah, we have to go through a background check to purchase ammo. We can only purchase magazines that hold 10 or fewer rounds. We have an assault weapon ban, which essentially is a rifle ban on most semi-automatic rifles. We have to configure them in a certain way where they don't have a pistol grip and some other ridiculous stuff. We have a pistol ban if your pistol doesn't have a micro stamp device. So if the firing pin can't stamp a little serial code on the brass before it's ejected, you can't sell it in California, and that has turned into a slow-moving de facto pistol ban. So, if you walk into a gun store in 40 other states, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, whatever, and you're looking for something to conceal and carry, you have a lot of options. If you come to California, a Smith & Wesson Shield, a Glock 19, a Glock 26, and there's 2 or 3 more, but that's it, because there just aren't that many that have made it. When they make you include technology that doesn't exist, it makes it hard to sell guns. So,
yeah, absolutely,
that's something we're fighting against.
They did this in Maryland a bunch of years ago, where I'm going to say, I remember reading it, if I remember right, it was about $5 million on. I don't know if it was micro stamping, but it was it was keeping track of all of the firing pin markings for all of the handguns, and they spent $5 million in it. And guess how many crimes it helped solve?
None. Not one.
Yes, that is. We have a winner. Yeah, it did absolutely nothing to prevent crime. We have something similar in Massachusetts. We have an approved weapons roster, which are guns that the state has deemed safe because some manufacturers wanted the companies that wanted to sell handguns in Massachusetts let the state of Massachusetts destroy the firearms or put them through some test that's more rigorous than the manufacturers were doing. And if you didn't want to do that, then your gun did not end up on the approved weapons roster. And so folks like Kimber said, yeah, we're not doing that. You can't get a brand new, I think it's Gen 4 and Gen 5 block here. You can get a used Gen 5, but you can't get a brand new one unless it's through a private transfer, private sale. And it's completely ridiculous. You guys had the bullet ban a few years ago too, right? Or the bullet button.
Yeah, they had a, so in 2000, they essentially banned most semi-automatic rifles. So they were trying to figure out, all right, well, how do we make this happen? How do we sell rifles, semi-automatic rifles, so that they comply with the law? And they came out with a bullet button, which really where the mag release is, there's a little hole in the mag release, and you take a bullet and you push it in that little hole, and then you can release the magazine. So now your bullet is a tool, and it's not a detachable magazine. You have to use a tool to detach it. So that's how we complied with the law with this bullet button. Well, they didn't like that either. So a couple of years ago, they actually outlawed the bullet button and tried to outlaw ARs, ARs, AKs, semi-automatic rifles. They tried to outlaw them again, and some more technology came out where we can own them. They function. They're they're ARs, they're AKs, whatever. But they're in a different configuration, and all kinds of. We call them neutered. They're neutered.
Oh, completely.
So yeah,
Like it's been stock here in New York.
Before we get into that that comment that David Saunders just said, I do want to remind people that if you have not emailed, you have to go to meetthepressers.com/giveaway. And I think the code we said for tonight is prom. So if you enter the code prom in, you can enter for the giveaway for a $250 SIRT training pistol, which is provided by Next Level Training. And they make some amazing training guns that people can use in their house. And hopefully I don't know, are those California legal, the SIRT pistols?
I hope so. Probably not. No, I'm sure they are. They probably are.
Probably not. Yeah. So someone was just asking about the nonsense in New York. David Saunders here says that didn't they try to do that in New York and it never passed?
Yeah, I'm going to try to talk. I'll see if my internet will not chop me out. But yeah, they've got a lot of things, especially like ballistics vest that they had on the back burner. It was in committee, and now it's probably going to be brought forward because of the 2 recent shootings as well. But New York's always trying to pass crazy stuff like that. It is like Melvina says, Mimi says, it's ridiculous. It is. Looks like we got a lot of people going to prom, by the way. Just give you guys an update on how many.
Excellent. Nice. Here in Massachusetts, the definition of an assault weapon, and I have to use funny voices and air quotes when I say this because I can't take it serious, but the definition of an assault weapon is a semi-automatic firearm, semi-automatic rifle that has a detachable magazine that can hold more than 10 rounds and has a pistol grip, collapsible stock, flash hider, bayonet lug, and grenade launcher. If it has one of those evil features, it's a modern sporting rifle. If it has 2 evil features, it's an assault weapon. So someone out here, one of the manufacturers, one of the guys out here that's got an FFL, found a workaround, just like what you did in California, and he produces a fixed magazine 10-round AR, and you can have those because they have a fixed magazine, so it's not a detachable magazine. And there's two ways that you load it is you have to pop the rifle open, so you pop out the back pin and tip up the upper, and then you load the rounds in through the top of the magazine that's in the receiver. Or they have these other little cool, I don't want to say cool because I don't want to sound like I like them, but they have these other little tools that you can hold 10 rounds in, and you just push them into the side and it loads the 10 rounds in no time. But it's ridiculous that you have to have these because it still looks like an AR. And people, non-gun folks make gun laws, and the non-gun folks like to use terms that unfortunately we adopt and we use as well. And if you're not a gun person, then when you see an AR with a fixed magazine that has the evil features, it's not an assault weapon because it doesn't fit the definition, but it still gets classified as an AR and ends up turning into something evil and mean and blah blah blah.
Well, we know federally with the 9mm being banned, right? They're going to ban 9mm in guns and ammo.
Yeah, well, I mean, the 22 just it'll shoot you, but the 9mm will blow the lungs out of
your lungs out of you. I thought COVID did that.
Right.
And I'll tell you the reason. What it drives me crazy sometimes. People from states that don't have these laws, they like to laugh at California and say, "Oh, gee," and blame it on us. We're out here fighting against it. Well, gee, if you guys would just do something or whatever, like we are doing something. We're fighting hard. But what drives me crazy is people from other states. We're the canary in the coal mine. You got to help us. You got to help us out. Adopt us and send us some money or whatever. If you don't want to move out here and fight alongside of us, fine, but send us some money and help us out because, you look at states like Arizona, which we're calling a free state. Arizona broke for Biden and, 2 of their senators, 2 of their U.S. senators, one of them heads up an anti-gun organization. No one's safe. This stuff is absolutely coming. It started in California. It's hitting states like New York and Illinois and Massachusetts. This stuff is absolutely coming for you. If you don't want to deal with it in your state, then help us deal with it in our state so it doesn't get to you.
Absolutely. Whoops, this is the comment I wanted to get to. Our buddy Dan Wass says, in New York, all the
Hey.
bad guys obey the gun laws. I
Mhm.
can smell some sarcasm from Dan. I really can. It's coming right through.
Yeah. Somebody said you can't legislate evil or legislate morality. Yeah, you can't legislate evil out of bad guys. It's just there's got to be another reason for them doing it. They're not that stupid. These politicians aren't. There's ultimate underlying reason.
Yeah, absolutely. The anti-gun folks aren't going anywhere. You know, for a long time, you hear in states like ours, they're like, well, if you don't like it here, just move. Okay, so you move to Arizona, like you said, that's turning purple for all intents and purposes. You the anti-gun folks, you know, well, I'm sure we've all heard the people from Texas that say, hey, listen, don't California my Texas. So people are leaving the blue states to go to the red states, and then they're not changing any of their activities or their actions or the way that they vote. And we have it here in you know, the small states of New England. People get sick and tired of the nonsense in Massachusetts. They go up to New Hampshire. The state motto is "Live Free or Die," and then they go up there and say, "Hey, we need motorcycle helmet laws. We need seatbelt laws. We need all this stuff." And I just want to say, no, you don't. You just left all that, dude. Like, live free or die. That's what it means. That's what it is.
Yeah, just I want to be left alone.
So, Michael, who are some of the favorite people you've had on your show? You've had a lot of people. I mean, a lot of great gun folks. You've had a lot of big name people. You've had Masada Ayub and Clint Smith. You had on a pilot a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, he was cool. My two favorite guests in however long we've been doing this, 5 years or so. One is a guy named Benji. I always mess up his last name, but Benji Manabog, and he runs Thrash and Raid, which is it's a skateboard company with an MP5 as its logo. And he was in the Marine Corps and served with MARSOC. And then his buddy, who he trains firearms with, Angel. Oh, I can't remember his last name. I want to say his last name's Cortez. I hope I didn't get that wrong. But we had them both in. Angel was a ranger in the Army, and both those guys had fascinating stories. Angel grew up and was in a gang, and a very violent gang. And Thrash and Raid and OG Pumpkin. Thank you. But he was in a violent gang, and he was on the road to spending the rest of his life in jail and being a career criminal. And he finally gave it up and said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I got to change my life. And he joined the Army, and he was an extremely successful soldier in the Army. And Benji was an alcoholic and a drug addict. And he was going down Angel Cortez. Yeah. He was going down a horrible, horrible path. And he went and tried to join the Navy, and the Navy recruiter just kind of threw him out of the office. So he went to the Marine Corps recruiter, and the Marine Corps recruiter said, okay, come here every day after school, and I'll, do your homework, and, we'll get you healthy, and we'll get you qualified. And he had an enormously successful career in the Marine Corps. And those two guys were fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And I loved those interviews so much. It was such an interesting story. I just love listening to people. I love hearing their stories. I love interesting stories and different perspectives, but particularly in our world. A lot of people we get stereotyped as a bunch of knuckle dragging. The term I like to use is we're
pale, male, and stale.
There you go, pale, male, and stale. And these guys were not pale, male, and stale. Anyway, I was fascinated by both those guys. They're really, really great guys, and I loved those interviews.
Cool. Well, I'm glad
to check them out.
I'm glad G-Webs was here. He knows everybody and knows of everybody. So when we stumble on stuff, he always chimes in and gets us on track, which is cool.
He's our behind the scene producer.
Yeah,
that's the thing is I don't really know. I am so laser focused on San Diego and then now Orange County and Inland Empire. There's a whole world out there. I never would have met you, Charlie, without Gun Owners Radio. So it kind of breaks me out of my little my bubble, and it helps me see that, hey, there's a whole world of people out there fighting for Second Amendment rights alongside, you know. And so I tend to kind of just get real laser focused and put the blinders on and just, you know, nose to the grindstone here in San Diego. So that's the best thing about Gun Owners Radio, is it kind of breaks me out of that, and I get to meet some really wonderful people.
No, that's great. I talked with Amanda Suffolk from Eye on the Target Radio about this, and she's got a really great analogy that we in the gun community are all in the Olympic rings, and not all the Olympic rings touch each other. So the guys that I know, the people I know, some of them are, you know, guys that you know, and you know guys that I don't know, and those guys know guys. It's like the Perel commercial. Like they told two friends, and they told two friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. And
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay. I don't know this guy, but I know someone who knows him. Let me see if I can get those two guys together. Maybe I can, you know, connect those two people.
Yeah, so and you know what I just thought of? Let me add one more thing. My those guys were great, but you know what? I just realized my favorite interview was Amanda Milius. Do you know who she is?
Oh, she's John Milius's daughter, right? I heard that.
John Milius,
who wrote Dirty Harry and Red Dawn.
Right, the director of Red Dawn, and I got to interview his daughter, and I just absolutely loved it. She did a movie that had to do with Trump and the Russiagate scandal, and we actually had her out to San Diego. We showed her movie to like 500 people in San Diego and about 150 or 200 people in Orange County, and then did a Q&A with her. And I got to do a couple of interviews with her, and I was just so happy. She went up and saw her dad, went shooting with her dad, and she was wearing a San Diego County Gun Owners hat. She sent me a picture of her hanging out with her dad in the San Diego County Gun Owners hat. And I was just
nice.
I was like a kid, and it was amazing. I don't get geeked out. I certainly don't get impressed by celebrities, or I definitely don't get impressed by politicians. But that impressed me. That was kind of neat. That was my time to get all geeked out.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That is way cool. Let's see. Staying with
we got
Red Dawn here. G-Web says he's visited every filming location from Red Dawn.
Las Vegas, New Mexico. Then you've been to Las Vegas, New Mexico, which was the little town in where, you know, in Red Dawn. It looks exactly like it did when they filmed it. I went and visited it, took pictures, and they even have the mural. I don't know if you remember in Red Dawn, they had the mural up that said Calumet, which is the name of the little town. It's still up in Las Vegas, New Mexico. It's kind of funny.
Wow, that is pretty wild. All right, well, listen, we're not done yet. I just want to remind people, if you have not gone to meetthepressers.com/giveaway and entered the code PROM, if you have not done that, then you cannot get in the drawing for the $250 SIRT training pistol. Thank you very much, Next Level Training. What, you get 2 minutes? This is the 2-minute warning. I don't know if you were Chuck Woolery, you get 2 and 2. I'm not sure.
2 minutes. 1, 2.
Gotcha. So we want to thank Next Level Training for that, and we also want to thank Mantis. Mantis has helped us the first few months that we've had the show, and the next sponsors we have are Next Level Training and offering the SIRT pistol. So here we are. We got Facebook user, and they said, I may be old, but I like the original Red Dawn better. Any thoughts on the newer Red Dawn?
I don't acknowledge its existence. There is no newer Red Dawn. There's Red Dawn, and that's it.
I think there's a bad connection. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
That's me. I got the bad connection.
I have not seen the new Red Dawn. I refuse. There are a lot of remakes that I refuse to watch. So that is absolutely one of them. Let's see. DJ Play Nice tunes in, and he says, rumor has it that a few YouTube channels might road trip to the Red Dawn gig this year. Ooh, that would be cool. That would be.
That sounds awesome. I don't know what the Red Dawn gig is, but it sounds awesome.
I assume it sounds like they're making a Red Dawn road trip. Red Dawn road trip. This could be what it is. So
awesome.
That would be pretty cool. All right, so as we're about to close up here, we want to try to be done at the top of the hour. Tell us again about San Diego County Gun Owners, where can people find it? Gun Owners Radio. Tell us about Gun Prom. If you haven't, I will be at Gun Prom, and John Petrolino will be at Gun Prom. I don't want to say that we're going to be there together, but we're going to be sitting at the same table. Okay.
So,
All right.
so San Diego County Gun Owners.com, San Diego County Gun Owners.com. That's the political organization. And we fight for Second Amendment rights, and we try to get the right people elected on the local level. And then GunOwnersRadio.com. GunOwnersRadio.com is the radio show that's every Sunday. And you can also find us on any podcast provider. And then the event is Gun Prom. Then you just go to gunprom.com, and it's on June 18th. We have it every year. We're going to have another one in Inland Empire later this year. And then we're going to have 3 a year, basically. We're going to have one in Orange County, one in San Diego, and then one in Inland Empire. And then as the organizations go to different counties, I'm sure we'll have one in that county as well. But it's the Second Amendment celebration dinner, nicknamed Gun Prom.
Very, very cool. Matt, I
am ready.
Do you have the tallies? All right. So Matt's going to give us a number, Michael, and you are going to pick a number between
1,179 and 1,209.
1,184.
1,184 is Ron Hensley.
Hey, congratulations, Ron.
All right, Ron. So we will, when I say we, I mean Matt. We will reach out to you, and we've got your email. We've got all your information. We know where you live. No, we don't quite know that. But Matt will email you and get your get your information, and he will have Next Level Training send to you a SIRT training pistol. So congratulations on that. Yeah, what else do we have? Gun Prom's coming up, Matt.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say we're focused on the election. We have an election in a couple of weeks, and then we have one in November. So we're super active. We have voter guides in all 3 counties or all 3 areas, all 3 packs, and we're an organization that does stuff. So there's always something to do. If you're anywhere near Southern California, or if you are interested in doing something like we've done in Southern California, contact us. And if you don't want those gun laws coming to your state, fund us. Send us a couple of bucks.
Absolutely. There's 8 states that are getting affected by the NYSERPA case, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, and they're all of the anti-gun states. And we do need to fight these gun laws in these anti-gun states, and those 8 states that are going to be kicking and screaming should the SCOTUS rule in our favor, in the favor of freedom and rights. So please make sure you help those groups. Holy moly, you got a voice changer. What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying anything. So we got 2 minutes left. What do you guys think? Some of these shootings were placed for political reasons. It's kind of weird.
Oh man, all right, so you're asking if the shootings were for political reasons. I'm going to say the one that happened today in Oklahoma is to make everyone forget about what happened in Texas. The only thing I've seen in my Facebook news feed is, and the news stories are things that have to do with guns and shootings and gun rights, and I get there's an algorithm behind all of that, but I'm going to say the shooting that happened today was to help us forget about the school in Texas. What do you think, Michael?
Not really. I don't really subscribe. I think that in Texas there was a truly troubled kid who needed help, and he didn't get it, and he went way over the deep end. And I think we need to fix that system. That person and the people around him should have a clear path on how to help him. Remove him from general society, get him into some program to where he, gets the help he needs, or is at least away from people that he wanted to hurt. Sounds like he was a pretty bad kid, and we should have removed him from society a long time ago, and we didn't, and we got to fix that. We absolutely have to fix that.
Agree with that for sure.
a lot of my issue is that the government that says they're going to take care of us is also the government that lets these people slip through the cracks. Whether it's kids that have kids that have a criminal record. I think the Buffalo shooter went to a mental institute for a day and a half. The New York subway shooter was posting all sorts of anti-white, anti-Semitic stuff. They knew about the Parkland shooter. They knew that he had some issues and people didn't like him. And we know about these people. The red flag laws don't work. We know that the background checks don't work because this guy in Texas last week passed a background check because he, even though I believe he committed some crimes when he was a youth, it didn't go on his permanent record. So when he went to do a background check, he passed. Anyway, we need to wrap it up here. It sounds like Matt's audio is still bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I talk and then it cuts out, so I just
all right. It sounds bad to me. So everybody, please check out Meet the Pressers for some other pro-gun interviews. Check out Meet the Pressers. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on YouTube. You can listen to the podcast as well. Please check out Riding Shotgun with Charlie on YouTube. Check it out on Gunstreamer, on Full 30, on the Ops Lens app. You can listen to the podcast there. And I also want to say, I know Trampus was here today. He was tuning in and making some comments. Please check out Armed Lifestyle Magazine. It is a free online magazine, and Matt and I are both contributors. Matt's audio is stopped, so he's not contributing, but he contributes to Armed Lifestyle Magazine. So I like it this way. We see his mouth moving, but nothing's coming out. So please check out Armed Lifestyle Magazine. I did an article with Anthony Calandro in there. And we thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for making all the comments. Congratulations to our winner. And again, we'll reach out to you and we will get a next level training SIRT pistol to you. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great night. You can say goodbye, Michael.
Thanks, Charlie. Appreciate it, bud.
All right, guys. Thank you
See
very
you,
much.
Matt.
We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.